All right, baby, we hustling right now. This is actually the third pod I'm recording today, so pardon me if I cough dust partway through, but welcome, one and all, to Hot and Cold Wheat 7. I said week, or I tried to say week. I think I said wheat. That's fine. Got farming on the brain right now. Welcome to Hot and Cold Week 7 here on Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm Dan Bespris. You can find me on Twitter at Dan Bespris and on the brand new Blue Sky Network at Old Man Squad. Hit that like button. Subscribe. That's important. I need you guys to do that. Leave a comment if you feel so inclined and drop a 5-star review over on the sites where you can do that. How do we deal with our hot and cold week? Well, I'm glad you asked. For those uninitiated, this is where we look at the players that have moved the farthest up and down the rank board over the last 7 days and see if that is actually opening up any opportunities to buy, sell, drop, pick up, things of that nature. And, spoiler alert, it always does. 100% of the time, something is hidden in the tendrils that are this weird little rank game that we play. So let's actually just dive straight on into this thing. And, again, if you're just joining us for the first time, we'll move pretty quickly through the players that I don't think are a buy or a sell, or there's really, and we'll pause and kind of get into the nitty gritty on guys that I think are a little bit more interesting. Again, the hotness, the coldness, it all creates value bubbles for usness. Dan Bespers once again on Twitter, Old Man Squad on Blue Sky, Old Man Squad Fantasy over on Instagram, which I was having some issues posting, but it looks like that's all been sorted out. Let's look at the risers first. These are the players that are flying up the board, and the biggest jumper over the last week is also one of my favorite sell high guys. And again, I'm going to need you guys to hold two thoughts in our brains at the same time, and that is Malik Monk, who's up 74 slots over the last week. He jumped from number 152 to number 78. He is absolutely throwing fire right now in reality, in fantasy, and everything is coming up Millhouse for Malik. I couldn't think of a way to really make his name sound like Millhouse. Everything's coming up Millhouse for Malik Monk. He got that huge usage bump when DeMar DeRozan went down. And then the Kings were like, crap, this dude is good. We should probably just put him in the starting lineup and stop tinkering with Kevin Huerter and Keon Ellis. And so he gets to keep on doing it. But also, he's going insane right now. And as awesome as it's been, and as close as like a second rounder as he's been over the last week, that's just not a thing that's going to last forever. He had 12 assists in their last ball game, 19, 7, and 6 in the game before that with 5 3-pointers, 29 points, 9 assists, and 8 threes the game before that, 27, 8, and 9 on 11 out of 16 shooting. And yes, a lot of it is the increase in role that he's taken, because just more minutes is good for him. That's always been the issue with Monk, is that he was a filler level guy while playing 25, 26 minutes. And if he could get to 30, then he would have been a standard league guy. But this is out of control. The 7, 8 rebounds, that's not going to stick for Monk. I don't care how many minutes you give him. That's not getting that high. The run of assists that he's been on, 36 assists over the last 4 ball games. He's not going to average 9 assists a game. Now, here is, again, the thing. We got to hold these two thoughts in our head at the same time. We can both love the situation that's presented itself to Malik Monk and also cash in at the same time. See if you can get somebody to give you like a 60 to 70 range guy for Malik Monk right now. I actually don't think that's completely insane to ask for, because he's been so good over the last week. He's number 8 in all of fantasy basketball on wildly unsustainable numbers. That's why you're not asking for number 9 back. That's Victor Wembanyama, by the way, over the last week. You're not asking for the number 9 player back for Monk. You're asking for like a top 60 guy back. And I think it could work. I'd be willing to go on my return as low as about a really settled 70, 75. So someone like a Coby White, you might be able to sell for LeBron James with the way he's playing right now. Jimmy Butler is in that range. Rudy Gobert is in that range. Michael Porter Jr. These are all really secure guys that might bounce around, maybe go up a little down, but like, you know, they're going to be there. And with Monk, I mean, if the Kings rattle off a bunch of wins, he probably keeps this job. But even if he keeps the job, there's absolutely no reason to believe that he's going to continue to take this many shots, get this many assists, and shoot the ball this well for an extremely long period of time. So I love what he's got going right now. And if you can add him, terrific. And if you did, outstanding. But if you can sell him, that sort of completes the puzzle on how to handle this Malik Monk insano lava heater. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football to the NBA and college basketball, hockey, and UFC. You should head to BetOnline today. And when you get there, don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Next name on the list is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. We're not making a whole lot of headway here, but Monk was one I really wanted to spend some time on. KCP's on a pretty good shooting run right now. He jumped from number 186 to number 120, but his overall numbers are still not super exciting. And they never were going to be. At 8.5 points, 1.4 steals, he's at 96% free throw shooting and only 0.7 turnovers. Yes, a lot of his value is tied up in the fact that he doesn't turn the basketball over, and his steals are above average. The other stuff is really not good. It's one of those situations where we need to understand what the actual board is telling us. And the rank board tells us that KCP is not really hurting you, but he's not really helping you. That's what these filler level guys are. It's where the good and the bad kind of cancel each other out. And for KCP, the good in steals and turnovers and free throw is canceled out by the fact that he doesn't score, rebound, or pass. And his field goal percent has been kind of low, although it's ticking up a little bit. And that's why he's moved from the 180s to the 120s. If he cools off at all, he's doomed. Deni Avdija is up 50 slots from 174 to 124. A lot of that had to do with Jeremy Grant being out. If you can sell on him, I would, but I don't think you can. Devin Vassell is up 45 slots from number 113 to number 68. This is not a sell moment for Vassell. This is just him on the way to where he always belonged. D'Angelo Russell is up 45 slots at long last. Just shot is finally starting to come around a little bit. He's from 196 to 151, so there's still obviously a long way to go with him. But his field goal percent is up to 42. The usage is up a little bit over the last week. And we're hearing rumblings in Laker Town that they might want to get him back in with the starters because he has the best assist-to-turnover ratio and one of the best plus-minuses on the team, which I think surprised the crap out of everyone. But on a club that, and this is exactly what we said, on a club where no one can play defense except for Anthony Davis and sometimes Cam Reddish, who has zero offensive ability of any kind, there's no point in benching one of your best offensive players to get a defender in there who's just going to muck up the offense. And if three other guys still suck at defense and you switch everything, there's no point in having one good defender in there. So Lakers are starting to lean a little bit more into the offense. I mean, they ran out of gas on this 5 and 7 stretch, but this is a good one. And this is why you tried to hang on to D'Lo all along. John Morant is up 43 slots. He was always well below where he belonged at 123. 80 is much closer to where we figure he'll be when the percentages level off. Goga Bitadze up 36 slots here. That was a fun little surprise with Wendell Carter Jr. coming back. This was the week where they slid Wendell down to power forward and left Goga as the starting center. A lot of this blows up when Paolo comes back, but for now, you can keep on streaming. Clint Capela's had a really nice week. He's gone from 156 to 122. He is now officially a start. If you're punt free throw build, he is in filler territory. If you're not, and if you want to ride the hot hand, he's been good enough to play in most formats over the last 1.5 weeks or so. It might be a tiny bit of a sell high, but because his overall rank still isn't all that good, I don't think you're going to get much back for him, at least not yet. We got to hold two thoughts in our head again on this one. Walker Kessler has been awesome lately. He's up 33 slots from number 72 to number 39. He's at 11 points, almost 11 rebounds, 3 blocked shots a game, hyper elite field goal at 74%. he's got his confidence back, and he's doing this in 29 minutes, which is kind of what we were hoping for coming into the year. So this is like what we wanted, but there's no guarantee that it's going to be this way the rest of the path. It might, but wouldn't it be nice to lock it in? So with Kessler, I'm not looking to sell high. I'm looking to sell to mitigate risk. So look for someone who's ranked close to him, who you think is going to just last. So Jarrett Allen would be a good one. He's like 5 or 6 slots behind Kessler right now. Doesn't block nearly as many shots, but he's much better at the free throw line. The other stuff is almost exactly the same between the two guys. Other names in there that are very reliable, that aren't going anywhere. Pascal Siakam is going to be right around 50. Bam Adebayo is right around 50. If you're looking the other direction, you're not going to be able to get anybody ahead of Walker Kessler other than like Cam Johnson or OG Anunoby, but those guys are also a little bit risky. Looking a little farther down the board, you could probably get Isaiah Hartenstein. I think he's a safer play there. I don't know if I would trade all the way down to a Zach LaVine, but I would consider it. So any one of those 6, 7 names I just threw out there, see if you can make that happen just to kind of secure yourself. It's the safe move, which I know is not fun. It might be more fun to have Walker Kessler and look at all these, 4, 5, 6 block games that'll come rolling in over the rest of the year. But he could get thrown in the doghouse at a moment's notice, and we sort of don't want to get caught with our pants down if or when that happens. Jalen Green is up 29 slots. This is a warmer week for him. He's back up to 132. He's filler level at best, so I don't want anything to do with that. Cason Wallace is up to number 107, which is actually now kind of like above filler level, but it's very Kentavious Caldwell-Pope-like in that he's got 1 3-pointer, 2.3 defensive stats, and ultra low turnovers. So I'm not really that interested in him full-time as much as I am thinking, you could run a schedule play on Cason Wallace and try to roll up some steals and blocks and then send him back out into the ocean. Nick Richards is up 26 slots over the last week from 93 to 67. And there might be someone out there who thinks, oh, well, Nick Richards, he's just going to keep this job the whole year. The way that happens is if Mark Williams gets hurt again, which is obviously a non-zero probability, given he played his first game in a calendar year yesterday. No, 2 days ago. So, yeah, I mean, you might be right. But also, the higher probability thing happening here is that Richards doesn't get 28, 29 minutes a ball game. He also likely doesn't continue to block 2.3 shots in 27 minutes a game. There's a lot of stuff with Richards that points the wrong way. You're not going to get someone ranked near 67 for him. That's where he is right now, but nobody believes that he's going to stay there. But people out there do believe that he's going to hold Mark Williams at bay and still kind of maintain a decent level value. So what I would do is look for guys ranked around 100 and see if any of those guys have kind of a quiet, uninteresting, low appeal kind of fantasy line that you could just put on your team and roll them out there as your 9th best player on a given day and not worry about it the rest of the way. So someone like a Derek Lively, who's at 105, Miles Bridges at 99, if the guy who's rostering Miles Bridges is getting annoyed. Ooh, Naz Reid at 97 would be a good one to try to get. Tobias Harris at 95 is gettable, I think. Gafford at 88, you could probably get. And do I want Andrew Wiggins at 86? Yeah, I think I'd go Andrew Wiggins over Nick Richards. Could you get Trey Murphy? I doubt it. You should try, but I don't think it's going to work. Do I want Valanciunas? Nah, he's got the same problem as Nick Richards. Could you get Austin Reaves for him? Worth a shot. Mike Conley, who's on the way up. I think I'd consider going that path as well. And so I think there's a lot of paths, actually, that you could take with this Nick Richards one. It's just to get somebody who's, I don't know, a little bit safer and doesn't have somebody breathing down their neck, but profiles as inside the top 100. Tyrese Maxey had a good week. He's up 25 slots, and he did it kind of quietly, if it's even possible to do that when you're already ranked pretty high. He's at 2 steals a game. That's the reason that things are going so nicely for Maxey. He was number 7 over the last week on 29 points, 8 assists, and 3 steals a ball game. He's still not shooting well, but the steals are going to come down while the field goal percent comes up. And then if Joel Embiid ever shows up, then that's a thing again. But I don't think you can really sell high on Maxey. Nobody believes that he's going to be a first rounder the rest of the way. Josh Giddey's up 25 slots. Still, unfortunately, a little ways to go there. He's at 145. So definitely not a sell. If anything, you might even be buying still. Ayo Dosunmu up 23 slots. That has to do with Patrick Williams being out and also Coby White being out. And by the way, while you're dinking and doinking around with this show, you should be picking up Ayo today because Coby White is out for at least one more ball game. Not relevant to the trade topic on today's show, but relevant to your overall fantasy statistical needs. Payton Pritchard is up 22 slots. This is a great week to sell high on Pritchard, and we knew this week was going to be a good one for him because the Celtics are in the middle of a 5-game and 7-day stretch where they're resting as many guys as they possibly can without accidentally losing a ball game. And basically what that means is, thinking back to the ball games on Wednesday night, Boston figured we're going to take care of Detroit. We'll rest as many guys as we can. We'll try to get our dudes in for some of the Friday, Saturday back-to-back with Milwaukee and Memphis. Those should be tougher ball games, but you're going to see other guys getting rest there too. Drew Holiday might actually be hurt, by the way. I don't think that's the case about the rest of these dudes. So you always knew that Pritchard was going to have a big role this week because at least one Celt, was likely to be out in pretty much every single game, or at least 4 of the 5, and now it's turning out to be most likely all 5. But Boston goes into a stretch after this where they play something like 4 games over 2 weeks. They're going to get healthy in there, and Pritchard's still going to be fine, but he's not going to be anywhere near what he's done over the last 3 or 4 ball games. What could you get for Pritchard? That's the real question, because he's sitting in the 50s after this heater run he's been on the last couple of ball games, with his field goal percent back up to 49. I think you could probably get somebody in the 80 range for him. Who would that be? I'd love to go get Tyus Jones. That'd be awesome. That'd be lovely. I don't think you're going to be able to get Coby White, but I would try. Probably won't happen. CJ McCollum might be gettable if the person rostering him doesn't like that bad free throw start. Mikal Bridges is an interesting target. I would consider going Tobias Harris. In between on that one. Looking at the other names on this board, does anybody else jump out at me? I don't know if I would go lower than that because there are going to come other times during the year where Pritchard's going to get hot again, and then it'll sort of balance out to some number. But looking at, again, in that kind of like 65 to 95 range for quiet producers, that's what you want. You want to take a name off someone's hands who's just not all that fun for them. Jamal Murray up 21 slots. That's good. He's not a sell high. He's just sort of on his way. Rui Hachimura up 20. That's because Austin Reaves has been out. I don't even know why I put him on this list. James Harden up 17 slots. That's hard to do when you were already a 3rd rounder, and now he's number 13. Great jump. Still shooting 38.5% from the field somehow. That's how good he's been in 7 of the 9 categories so far this year. But that's pretty cool. This is not a sell for me. This is where I thought Harden would be all along. And I still think he could be better if the field goal percent gets into the 42 range even, then he's a mid-first rounder. So, nope, not a sell yet there. And Yves Missi up 15 slots. I know that's not super impressive for somebody ranked as low as he has been, but I put him on this list because I wanted to make sure you guys picked him up. Quick commercial break, then we'll get to the fallers. Okay, the fallers. This is a little bit of a different board. Did they all fit here? Oh, did I screw that up and one squeaked onto the next page? No, that's all of them. We'll be able to speed through a lot of these names. Elfrid Payton down 80 slots, and then he got released. Poor Elfrid. Hopefully he'll latch on someplace. Chris Boucher down 54 slots. That's another one that I just cannot bring myself to give the first flying crap about. Caris LeVert down 51 slots. This one was always we knew it was coming. Now he's down at 139. There was no real hope for him to maintain what he was doing to start the year. The question was whether or not we could turn it into something. And for me, I'm always too nervous to pick up a guy who's on a heater, but maybe I should be more aggressive about picking those guys up and then trying to move them. Problem for me right now is I'm in a lot of leagues and I'm cranking out content as fast as my body will allow. That doesn't leave much room for me to actually try to pull off the buy lows that I really want to do unless they fall in my lap. Like that one league I told you guys about where someone proposed that they give me Tyrese Halliburton for Jakob Poeltl. That's exactly what I would have proposed to them, but all I had to do was like think really hard about it and it manifested itself. That's a fun superpower to have. Anyway, CJ McCollum down 51 slots. He hasn't actually been that bad lately, but he's missed like every free throw he's taken, and so his overall rank has suddenly reflected that he's like a punt free throw shooting guard. Otherwise, he's been pretty close to what we thought he'd be, and so I figure he'll probably bounce back a little bit. I would have made McCollum a buy low. I mean, honestly, you can make him a buy low. I don't know why I didn't highlight him. Let's just do that highlight in real time. I think the reason I didn't highlight him was because I thought it might be kind of hard to pull this one off, because I always figured that McCollum was going to end up in the 80s or 90s anyway. And now he's at number 90. The question is, what would it take to pry him loose from somebody else? It's going to have to be somebody ranked a little bit ahead of him who's hot. That might not be forever. Aaron Gordon, back from injury. Would it get it done? I don't know. Maybe. At least there's some name recognition there. Ochai Agbaji, that won't get it done. Who's on the way down? Christian Brown? I would do that, I think. I don't think he's shooting 58% the entire year is basically why. Would that work? I don't know. Nick Richards, that probably won't get it done, but I would try it. That's why I didn't make him a buy low. I just don't know that there's a good match out there. But maybe there's one that I haven't thought of. Bub Carrington down 47 slots, which is fun because I think he should be added if Malcolm Brogdon's going to miss any time. Not these things don't always make total sense. Isaiah Stewart down 38 slots. I put him on this list for two reasons. Number one, because he was like the seventh biggest faller. But number two, because I told y'all, dude is not going to put up the numbers he was putting up in that limited amount of time. There was no chance. There was no chance. I just got worried that I didn't set my lineups. Did I set my lineups today? I most certainly did not. And games start in like 8 minutes. We're going to pause the show while I set lineups. Well, that was almost a prime doinking. Where the hell were we? Does anybody remember where the hell I was? Oh, we were talking about Isaiah Stewart and how there was just no way he was going to keep up that level of block production in like 22 minutes a game. And sure enough, it's fallen off a cliff. And now you don't really want anything to do with him because he's no longer fun or interesting. This was just a pretty easy one to spot from 1,000 miles away. He's at 140 now. He fell from 102 to 140, by the way. Next on the list is Kevin Huerter. This one obviously corresponding with Malik Monk taking his starting job, so we don't want anything to do with that. Jared McCain down from 122 to 153 over the last week. That's a 31 slot drop. I mean, he's liable to have a pretty good ball game when Paul George rests and you're down to just Tyrese Maxey. But at some point here, Embiid is probably going to show up. And then there's just going to be too many guys that want to have usage ahead of McCain. And at that point, there really isn't a whole lot you could do. He was a sell high when he was hot last week, and now he's sort of a nothing. Austin Reaves and LeBron James, two Lakers. And again, this shouldn't surprise anybody. First of all, Reaves is hurt. He smashed his pelvis on a tough fall. That sounded phrasing. So he's out for a little bit, which, makes this one sort of like a double. But we talked a bunch about Reaves and LeBron on our Buy Low show that aired on Tuesday afternoon, if you guys want to go watch that one. So I don't want to get into too much detail on this one, but suffice it to say that Reaves' percentages are crap right now, and so are LeBron's. Specifically field goal for LeBron. For Austin, it's both. Those are things that are just going to come back as the Lakers get their legs back underneath them. This is a tired team. They sort of go as LeBron goes, and he's not getting guys open right now. And even when he is, his passes aren't there. So, sorry, kid screaming. It's not mine. So go try to get him. And just the quick version on that is for Reaves, he's ranked at like 114 right now, 115, excuse me. You should be able to get him for somebody ranked a little bit ahead of him. Jeremy Grant, as we've talked about, try to sell anytime you can there. Looking up the board, Zubats, Mathurin, Miles Bridges, Naz Reid. I know Cam Thomas, everybody loves his scoring, but if you're going strict to 9-cat, he would be someone to unload. DeAndre Hunter. You're not going to be able to get him for Al Horford. Daniel Gafford, Andrew Wiggins. These are all names I would give up for Austin Reaves because I think he's going to push past them to around 75 or 80. And then with LeBron, he's at 74 right now. So offer up somebody in the 50 range for LeBron. We talked about this a bunch of times. We did a short on it. Guys like Freddie VanVleet, Bam Adebayo, Pascal Siakam, guys in that range are the perfect range to try to get yourself LeBron James before his turnaround. Jordan Poole down 25 slots. He is not a buy low, but he's no longer a sell high. So it's something. It was a pretty obvious sell high earlier in the year. Down, remember, he was the 6th ranked player for about 2 weeks, and then he fell into the 30s, and now he's in the 50s, and he's probably going to kind of hang around somewhere between 50 and 80 for a while, if I had to guess. Bilal Coulibaly, he's down to number 119. He's been on a viciously ugly, cold shooting spell. I actually think he turns around, and the reason I have him color-coded in yellow on the screen for you YouTubers out there is because I think he's going to get dropped, and he's a guy that I would try to, kind of semi-stash. I don't know what the right word for it is. He's an active stash because he's doing enough to be useful. And if you played him every game so far this year, he's been like a pretty good filler-level guy. But that field goal percent is back down kind of where we thought it would be. The free throw is at 76. That's going to need to be a thing that gets a little bit higher. The other stuff is kind of fine where it is. 12 points, 5.5 boards, 3 assists, 1.9 defensive stats. But something, any one of those things, including the percentages, needs to just get a little bit better than it is right now. And that's how he pushes back into startable. So that's why I like him as a pickup, even if you're going to have to sit on him through a tough stretch here. Coby White is down 22 slots to mostly where I thought he would be. This is more what we expected out of White, so this is not a buy low. Alex Sarr is down 21 slots, and he keeps bouncing back and forth between 120 and 150. And a lot of it has to do with percentages. He's shooting 37.5% from the field, 66% at the free throw line. Both of those will slowly work their way up over the course of the year. So it's a similar thing with Bilal, where you're just holding Sarr and hoping that it gets better. If you're a games cap format, you can just stick him on your bench, wait until things start to click a little bit more consistently. If you're in a head-to-head league, you're just kind of hoping for a decent week so he doesn't blow up your percentages, but you know what the end point is there. And if you can't deal with it, if he's hurting you in the percentages too much, I understand. You guys know I love attacking percentages. Then just don't do it. It's fine. This is one of those things that, you can pull it off if you can pull it off. If you can't, you can't. It's not a big deal. It would just be fun to have him in March. And it might be fun to have him in January and February. You might start to figure it out sooner than that. Bradley Beal down 21 slots to, again, basically where we thought he'd be, which is the mid-50s. If he can stay healthy, being in the 50s would be totally fine, but it's not a buy or a sell. Amen Thompson down 20 slots again. He's all over the board. He was the big riser last week. Now he's one of the big fallers. He's number 130. So even after a bad week, he's still in the filler territory level. And I think you should go try to get him. Go get him using Deni Avdija. He's been hot lately because Jeremy Grant was out. Go get him using KCP, who's been hot lately. Go get him using, I don't know. None of these other names are going to work. Wendell Carter Jr. after a good ball game, because Amen Thompson has a ceiling that none of those guys have. Or you just hope that whoever has him gets impatient and doesn't like the fact that he had a bad week, and maybe he ends up on your waiver wire. That'd be a good week for you. And to wrap it up, 3 quick names, and then we'll put a stamp on this one. Jarrett Allen down 20 slots. He is also one of the most bouncy players so far, which is really weird. He opened at 13, went down to 47, up to 22, back down to 42. I think the reality of it is that Jarrett Allen's probably going to end up near 40, but how he gets there is way more bouncy than I thought it would be. And I guess you could like buy when he drops past 50, treat him like a day trader and sell him when he gets up into the 20s or 30s. Or you could just do nothing, because how many of us have the time to do that every day? OG Anunoby down 19 slots. There's no surprise there, because he was way out over his skis when he was ranked at like 19 or whatever it was. Now he's at 37. Probably continues to drop little by little. Has not been hurt yet. That's the big thing with him. There was never a ton of fear on the per game. And then Kevin Durant, who turned an ankle, the reason his rank dropped is because he left after only playing part of a ball game. That cost him like 7 or 8 slots. Hopefully it's a short absence. Somehow he's still only shooting 80% at the free throw line. If that gets back into KD level and he gets healthy, then he pushes right back up into the front end of the second round. Maybe a little bit of a buy low on KD if the person that has him is like, oh, come on, he just got back. They'd be right. He did just get back. This is super frustrating, but he's Kevin Durant, and there's a lot of season left. And everybody's like, oh, this is just how the year's going to be. But we can't know that. You can't know that. He's had a couple of things back to back. That sucks. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to just play like 25 games in a row after this. It could happen. What would it take to get KD? I wonder if you could get him for Garland? Could you get him for Darius Garland? I probably would. I don't know. I came ill-prepared to call Kevin Durant a buy low, but he is a little bit of a buy low right now while he's got that ankle tweak, and maybe you can cash in a little bit. Maybe you can get him for like these other guys around him. Evan Mobley. That's a lot to give up, though. If somebody's frustrated with KD, you might be able to get him for less than that. Try some combination. Maybe go with a combo platter, like Brandon Miller and someone in the 60s. Brandon Miller and Michael Porter Jr. Go try to get KD for a combo of a 40-something and a 60-something. I bet you it works. Sometimes. Not every time, but I bet you it works sometimes. All right, that was our board. Risers and fallers, hot and cold week 7. Quick recap here just at the end in case you guys forgot. The sell highs, Malik Monk, Walker Kessler, Nick Richards, and Payton Pritchard. The buy lows, CJ McCollum, Austin Reaves, LeBron James, Amen Thompson, and possibly Kevin Durant. And the do we pick them up and stash them? Maybe, kind of, sort of, yes. Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr. Yes, they happen to be on the same team, and it is a very, very bad team. Stay tuned for our Wednesday recap show coming up in the not-too-distant future. I am Dan Bespris on Twitter. That's also my name. Old Man Squad on Blue Sky. Old Man Squad Fantasy on Instagram. Like the video on your way out, you turds. Hit that subscribe button so you can get all of our content and get alerts when it drops. And all you got to do is just like log in, watch it. If you throw a comment, all that stuff, it does continue to help us grow. Mwah! Hugs and kisses to you all. I'll talk to you very, very soon. I'm Dan, and I'm out.